Hey, what's up guys? We've seen quite a few phones from the Moto One family these days, and this is the Moto One Zoom. It brings some nicer specs than its siblings, as well as a 3x telephoto cam. It's Motorola's top phone right now, so how does it hold up? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our full review. Out of the Moto One lineup, the Moto One Zoom's signature feature is its 3x telephoto camera, but it also brings an AMOLED screen, a Snapdragon chipset, and a large battery. With its metallic gradient finish, the phone may seem like it's made from metal, but it's actually frosted Gorilla Glass with a 6000 series aluminum frame. The rounded corners and edges come together with the finish to provide a sleek and premium look. One thing that immediately draws your attention is the rectangular camera bump, and the backlit Moto logo, which can be used as a notification LED. Since the bump is wide and well centered, the Moto One Zoom is usable on a desk without much wobbling. I like that the power button has ridges on it, which feels nice to the touch. And overall, with its frosted glass and rounded edges, the phone is quite comfortable in the hand. It is a bit slippery though. If you want to add some extra grip and protection, you can use the clear case, which actually comes in the box. The Moto One Zoom has a Super AMOLED display, rather than the LCDs you see on its Moto One siblings. The screen is 6.4 inches with a 1080p resolution, and it has a small rounded notch cutout for the selfie cam. This display is pretty nice. You get the great blacks of an AMOLED, and sharpness is good at 400 ppi. We like the brightness levels too, around 500 nits maximum with a slider, and a boost of up to 700 nits in auto mode in bright conditions. Colors are vibrant and punchy, but not too accurate. You can switch between different color modes, but there aren't any ways to fine-tune them. The Moto One Zoom has an under-display fingerprint scanner, and it works quite well. The animations look cool too. Besides the notification LED on the back, there are also settings to turn on the display and interact with notifications, or keep the screen on while you're looking at it. Something unconventional about the Moto One Zoom is that a single speaker is located up at the top. It sounds pretty good, with loudness just shy of excellent on our charts, but there is some distortion at high volumes. There is a 3.5mm jack for headphones, and the quality here is good, with low distortion and nice stereo separation. However, loudness is below average. There are 128 gigs of storage on board the Moto One Zoom, but if you start to run out, it is expandable through microSD. The Moto One Zoom's interface is basically stock Android 9 Pie, with a few Moto customizations sprinkled in. It isn't part of the Android One program, so updates may not be so speedy, but it's still quite a clean and bloat-free UI. The notification shade, the app drawer, and the feed panel are pretty much what we're used to from Google. There is a dark mode available, but it doesn't work as I hoped it would. The notification shade turns dark, but the settings menu is still white. Most of Moto's customizations can be accessed through the Moto app. These include those options for waking up the display, and a bunch of useful gesture shortcuts. You can navigate with the on-screen keys or a swipe gesture setup, using a pill at the bottom. Swiping it up opens recent apps. Swiping it left access back. Swiping it right goes to the last app you had open, and tapping the pill goes home. At the heart of the Moto One Zoom is a Snapdragon 675 chipset, and everyday performance is good. However, in benchmarks we were a bit disappointed. CPU scores were lower than other phones running the same chipset, like Samsung's Galaxy A70 or Vivo's V17 Pro, probably due to poor optimization. Graphics performance is decent, though outclassed by the new Snapdragon 700 series chips. Powering the Moto One Zoom is a large 4000 mAh battery, and honestly we were pleasantly surprised by its performance in our battery life tests. While this year's other Moto One phones had mediocre scores, the Zoom scored a great endurance rating of 90 hours. The phone comes with a 15-watt turbo power charger in the box, and with it we were able to charge from 0 to 35% in half an hour. Nothing too special. Now on to the cameras. There's a 48-megapixel quad bare main cam, a 16-megapixel ultra-wide cam, and the phone's namesake, the 8-megapixel 3x telephoto cam, which has OIS. Finally, there's a 5-megapixel depth sensor for portraits. One of the cool things about Moto phones is their camera app, which brings tons of options and modes to play around with. It does feel unresponsive at times though, even crashing on a few occasions. Photos from the main camera come out in 12 megapixels by default, and quality is okay, with plenty of detail and nice colors. However, the photos are rather soft overall. If you turn on HDR mode, you get a sharper result, but not throughout the whole frame. It's just artificial sharpening. You do have a new option to shoot an 8-megapixel photo. These do come out better, with more balanced sharpening, but with the trade-off of a lower resolution. 3x zoomed photos from the telephoto cam are great. The OIS works particularly well. There's plenty of detail, good sharpness, well-controlled noise, and true-to-life colors. Shots taken with the ultra-wide cam are on par with what you commonly find on mid-rangers these days. They're perfectly usable, though quality isn't spectacular. Portraits are taken with the main camera, and there are a bunch of effects and blur options to choose from. Quality here is great, with impressively accurate subject separation. In low light, photos that are taken with the main cam are okay, but they suffer from the same softness issue that we saw in daylight. Turning on night mode brightens up the exposure and tries to add sharpness, but the results aren't good. These photos look highly over-sharpened in some places, yet still soft in others. If you opt to take 8-megapixel photos with the main cam, you do get a slight advantage in quality. There's night mode available here too, though for some reason 8-megapixel night mode shots end up a bit cropped. Zooming at night is generally done with a telephoto cam, unlike most phones that switch to a crop of the main one. The results aren't great due to the telephoto cam's darker lens, and there's no night mode here. Shots taken in low light with the ultra-wide have poor quality, and you don't get night mode here either. The Moto One Zoom's 25-megapixel front-facing camera takes selfies in 6 megapixels, and quality is quite impressive. There's balanced sharpness, plenty of detail, and mature processing. Video can be captured in up to 4K at 30 FPS with the main camera, but the telephoto and the ultra-wide can shoot only in 1080p. 4K video is decent, with good detail and vibrant colors. Dynamic range is a bit narrow though, and there is aggressive over-sharpening. 1080p videos from the telephoto cam are quite nice, with natural colors, good detail, and more toned-down processing. Ultra-wide videos unfortunately have soft corners and plenty of over-sharpening. So that's the Moto One Zoom. You get a solid and elegant glass build, a large AMOLED screen, great battery life, a clean Android UI, great selfies, and nice zoomed photos with the telephoto camera. Plus, this Moto LED is kinda cool. However, there are a couple of things I'm not a fan of here. First is the chipset, which is a bit underpowered for this price range and doesn't seem well optimized. And I wish overall camera performance was more solid, especially for a phone named after a camera. The Moto One Zoom isn't a bad phone, in fact it's pretty decent, but for €400 you could find plenty of alternatives out there with faster performance and a better camera experience. I'm just not sure if the 3x telephoto was enough to convince you to go for this phone. Thanks for watching guys, and see you on the next one.